Hey everybody, Magus here. Thanks for coming back for our monthly update for May 2023 of our Tesla solar panels and Powerwalls system. Now, May started off a bit rocky with some rain and our production numbers weren't that great, but we really hit our stride later on in the month. I'm excited to share those numbers with you. Now, one of the things about our area is that there's a lot of dust in the air and it tends to settle on our panels pretty quickly. I noticed that we were getting about 77 kilowatt hours of production per day, and in May last year we were up into the mid 80s on some days, so I wanted to see what I could do about improving our production here. I went outside and tried washing the panels, so here's a little video about that. Enjoy. Now around here our panels get pretty dusty and we really don't see that much rain during the summer, so I like to get up here on the ladder and spray them off with a hose. Some people are picky and use distilled water, others will have somebody out there to do it. I don't really want to pay somebody to come out here and do it because it's going to be a couple $100 and you're not going to see that return in production, from that cleaning. So I just think it's easier to get up there on a ladder and do it yourself and knock it out pretty quickly. It only took about 10 minutes to do this. A couple months ago, I made a advertisement for Tesla for our Powerwalls during a power outage on New Year's Eve. If you haven't seen it before, I'll show it for you here. Hopefully you enjoyed that. I made a new one now. This one's called Drive on Sunshine. Alternatively, Zero Emissions. Almost. Named after my favorite onesie on their Tesla shop. Some other updates for May is that our gateway updated to version 2023.12.1. I didn't see anything different in the app. I haven't noticed any different behaviors with the system, with the Powerwalls or the panels here, so it must just be under the hood updates. We also have started that virtual power plant season in the beginning of May here, but we haven't seen any events yet. It's been relatively mild in May here, so I wasn't really expecting to see anything. However, Connect used to do a test event every 3 months or so, so I was halfway expecting to see that during the off season or at the beginning here, but we haven't seen that, so I guess we'll see if that changes. Now, one very important thing to note here is that summer electricity rates are here. Now, we're with PG&E and we're on the time of use D plan, also known as the E-TOU-D plan. Now, for us, our base rate off peak in the summer is 36 cents per kilowatt hour, and our peak rate has gone up to 49 cents per kilowatt hour. That's from 5 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. That excludes weekends and holidays, but still, PG&E, that is ridiculously expensive. Thank goodness we don't ever pay peak rates with PG&E. Thank you, solar panels. Thank you, Powerwalls. It's just something we don't have to worry about, and one of the awesome benefits of having a system. One last exciting thing before we go over the data is that we finally got our true-up check for last year. So we've officially made more than $850 in revenue from our system doing absolutely nothing. I thought this was awesome. I tweeted it out. Basically, we are our own energy suppliers. We have backup power for days. We power our own 2 EVs with clean solar electricity, and we make money doing nothing at all with virtual power plant events and sending back excess electricity to the grid. Drew Baglino at Tesla, the Senior Vice President for Energy Engineering and also for Powertrain Development, agreed and tweeted this: win, 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 win. I'd have to agree with them. So use my referral link down below. I believe till the end of June you get $500 off the system. That's more than it usually is. So hop on, get Tesla out to do a site assessment and get that going for yourself. Now let's take a look at the data. First up, we're going to take a look at house usage. Last April, we used 1,169 kilowatt hours, and that was up to 1,266.3 kilowatt hours in May here. That's about a 10% increase from April to May, and we saw that same 10% increase from March to April. Simply, it's a little bit more AC usage as the temperature goes up here, Also, as the temperature goes up, we're just kind of hitting the road a bit more, so we're charging our cars more. Between the Model 3 and the Model Y, we charged about 420 kilowatt hours this month, so that's about a third of our house usage. Now look back at May of last year, and we used 1,476.8 kilowatt hours, and this is about a 15% increase from this year, or a decrease depending on how you look at it. And we were home with a new baby last year, so basically we had visitors over with the new baby and everybody home. Our AC was running all day every day, so you can see that on average we used about 47 kilowatt hours last year, and that was down to around 40 kilowatt hours this year per day. That's simply about 2 hours extra of AC usage per day, just keeping the house cool. Now you'll see later on here with the solar production, we had about a 200 kilowatt drop here in house usage. That works out well with our solar production because the beginning of the month here was a little bit rocky, but let's check that out. Now we'll take a look at solar production. In April, we produced 2,063.9 kilowatt hours of electricity. In May here, that was 2,135.2 kilowatt hours, about a 5% increase or so. Now the first week of the month, we had some rain and cloud cover, so that really stunted our production numbers here, but we still had a fantastic month. We averaged around 69 kilowatt hours of production, and you can see here that we had a peak of 79.8 kilowatt hours in production per day versus 76.2 kilowatt hours in April. This isn't that extreme increase that you maybe saw from February to March or March to April, but it's still awesome to see it increasing here as the days are getting longer and longer. Now last year in May, we produced 2,356.7 kilowatt hours, and that's about a 10% decrease versus this year, or increase. Basically, these graphs as you see here, they're not on the same y-axis, so they're kind of useless in terms of comparing the 2 months here. But yeah, we saw a high of 86 kilowatt hours last year, 79.8 kilowatt hours here. Is that something important? I guess we'll see. We're just going to continue to keep an eye out on that. Chugging along here, next one up is Powerwalls. Last month in April, we discharged 496.9 kilowatt hours from the Powerwalls. This month it was up to 524.8 kilowatt hours. Our average use here is running about 17 kilowatt hours per day, or about 40% of the 3 Powerwalls capacity. A normal morning for us is to wake up and see the Powerwalls are at about 60 or 65%. And if we're not using anything heavily on the house, they're pretty much fully charged by 10 a.m. or so, and we're kicking electricity back to the grid. So no worries there with the increasing usage. Now last year in May, we discharged 592.3 kilowatt hours. There was a lot of dishwasher use, a lot of laundry being done. We were up with the baby at all hours of the night, so honestly we were doing laundry at 3 a.m. and just kind of using electricity when we normally wouldn't be overnight. So that's just why it's a little bit higher last month, but we still have plenty of charge to go, even on a heavier use month like last May. Lastly here, we've got net grid use. Now in April, we were net negative 822.6 kilowatt hours back to the grid. In May, we were net 780.8 kilowatt hours back to the grid. We averaged an impressive 25 kilowatt hours back to the grid every day for the month of May. Keep in mind that's while keeping our AC set at 72. We're also charging both of our EVs at home here. So as you can see, there's no blue on that graph at all again, so we're not using the grid at all. We're keeping ourselves comfortable, we're keeping our EVs fully charged with clean solar electricity, and we don't have to go to the gas station, and we're not paying PG&E anything. It's just wins all over. How awesome is that? Now looking back at May from last year, you'll see that we sent back 803.4 kilowatt hours net to the grid. Now considering we produced about 200 kilowatt hours less this month, we only sent back about 20 kilowatt hours less than May of last year, and that's pretty impressive. You can see here both months, May this year and last year, had these super awesome days where we sent back over 50 kilowatt hours to the grid in one day. I'm glad to help out my neighbors and everybody else when they need solar electricity like that. Before we head out here, let's take a look at power outages for the month. Now, May actually did not have any power outages here. It's the first month since October 2022 that we've had a power outage free month. Bravo PG&E, let's keep it going this month. The other interesting thing to look at here is our self-powered graph. I call this one a technicality. We're at 100% self-powered. It's showing 99% here. I halfway wonder if some of our hydra, items like the AC, when it turns on, gets the electricity a little bit quicker from the grid than from our batteries or solar, and that's why that 1% is there. Essentially, we don't have any grid usage on our graphs here, but it still shows that 1%. Anyways, that's a 58% composition from solar. That's up from 57% last month and 41% from Powerwalls, which is 43% last month. We are our own energy providers. Basically, we're filling up our cars, running our AC on our house super cold, and we're not using the grid at all to do it. That is just amazing. Too many good things about a Tesla solar panel and Powerwall system. Again, if you're interested, I believe the special is $500 off using a referral link. I'm thinking that probably only goes until the end of the month, so get on that, get Tesla out to do a site assessment, and make sure you use my link. I'll see you guys next month. Have a good one.